Yo, 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 what's going on, everybody? My name is Rob Carmona, and welcome back to another episode of Rob the Mic. Thank you for all the love on last week's episode. I know things were a little bit different schedule wise, but I had to kind of move things around. So I know I've been talking to you guys the last couple weeks about a project that I've been working on, and last Wednesday was actually the presentation for it. So what I wanted to do is kind of get these things for the podcast and some other work that I had going on squared off a day early, just so I could have Wednesday for myself, gear up, go through the presentation, go through the whole thing, because honestly, it's been a while since I've had any sort of like really formal presentation to do. It was exciting, it was nerve-wracking, but exciting for the most part. And shouts to my buddy Sebastian for kind of helping me with all of that, because, and I can't even say kind of helping me, honestly, for helping me with all of that, because he and I had a conversation. I want to say I had mentioned it to you guys too, but for those of you guys, if you didn't hear that episode and this is your first time tuning in, first off, welcome to the podcast. And second off, the conversation went a lot like this. I was talking to him about the presentation, gearing up for it. I had shown him some of the artwork, and I was telling him that I was nervous. And he was like, dude, you got to cut that shit out. Like, you got to stop talking to yourself like that, and kind of, you need to change the way that you talk to yourself, change your vocabulary. And he scolded me, but in a good way, something that I really needed to hear. And if it wasn't for him and his support and just kind of shifting my mentality, it's those little things for me that kind of hit the hardest. So when he told me about that, I immediately shifted what I had told him. And I said, hold on, let me rephrase that then. He goes, yeah, rephrase that. So I said, I'm really excited about this presentation, and I'm really excited to show you this artwork. I've spent so much time on it, and I can't wait to see your response. And he goes, you see how different that is? You see how different it feels to say something like that versus to turn around and say it the other way, and you're like, dude, I'm so nervous. I'm so nervous. He goes, dude, you believe shit like that. And it's true, right? How many times have we talked about that on this podcast? Being positive to yourself, talking to yourself a certain way, creating that sort of self-love that's like undeniable. And when you need it the most, you can run to yourself for it. So in this moment, I wasn't able to run to myself, and I didn't even know it. I just subconsciously, I was just kind of going through the motions, and I'm like, wait, hold on. And because of that, somebody brought that to the surface. So I changed the way I started talking to myself, and it changed everything from that day. Every single day I was like, dude, I'm excited. And come Wednesday, I was like, I'm excited for today. Again, running through the presentation, what I was going to say, what are possibilities, possible questions they could ask me, what are answers that I could have, things like that. And just kind of going through that whole, kind of jumping into that corporate mentality once again, because again, it's been a while since I've presented to people in a very serious manner. It's one thing to present work to people and send off t-shirt designs, social media pieces, whatever it may be, any sort of photography, video. But it's very different when you're presenting branding and when you're in those like concept stages and you're trying to explain why you did certain things, right? Some things have to speak for themselves, and I feel like a lot of the work should be able to speak for itself, but you need the opportunity to defend what you're doing. So for me, this was a major opportunity to do that. I didn't want to just send off the PDF to the guys and say, hey, I hope you guys like the work on this project, and that's it. Maybe I'll hear back, maybe I won't. It's like, no, this has to get done a certain way. So it was a very, very big day, and it was incredible. It was an hour of just straight amazing conversation, full eyes, full hearts. It was fucking great. Like it was everything that I needed it to be, not just for myself, but for them too, because I feel like it gave these guys a new love for the project, because they had been shown concepts before. There was other designers submitting to this project that was going to be kind of underway. And they're like, dude, the way that you've presented to us, everything that you've shown, everything that you've spoken to, it's like, it made us excited again about this. Because it's one thing to just show concepts and that's it, right? But again, speaking to it, explaining, breaking everything down, it changes the game. And in the design world, that's very, very important. You need someone to sit there and kind of walk you through it and explain what's going on and why certain things are the way that they are. And the potential, that's also my favorite thing too when it comes to meetings like that, is discussing potential, right? Because my job is to give you exactly what you need, or maybe what you don't even know that you need, but I know that you need it. right? That's my job. That's why you come to me, especially when it comes to branding. It's like, okay, you in your head, you're thinking, oh, I need a logo, right? I don't know if it's going to be a word mark or it's going to have symbols or what it's going to be, but I know I need something like that. I can think of, I know I need t-shirts, I need business cards and whatever and whatnot. And it's like, hold on, let's strip it down. What's going on? What is this about? What do we need and why do we need it? Because I have to be able to decipher what's important. And also when it comes from a financial standpoint too, because I have people that come to me with very, very different budgets. And there's some people that don't have a budget at all. So for me, I have to look at it as an investment opportunity. So I can say, okay, well, you know what? We do this right now. I help you out here. This could go, God knows where. It can go somewhere crazy. But if I set it up right, it's all good. And again, depending on your budget, depending on what's going on, we have to see what you can afford. And that's my job, to figure out how to make those things happen, right? Not everybody has the 10K budget, the 20K budgets, the 50K budgets for marketing and branding. I can't tell you how many times I've had people come up to me or I've met people through other people, right? Through clients. And they're like, dude, I've seen you work magic before. I have $1,000 and this is what I'm trying to do. And it's like, oh shit. But it's really exciting because it tests my skill set. I get to go into my toolbox, see what's going on. It's like, okay, what can I do for $1,000? Let's make this happen. It's going to be really slim, but we're going to fucking make it happen, and we're going to make you look like $1 million. So if anybody looks at this, they're going to have no idea that this was your budget. And that's literally all you had. That was tapped out maximum that you had. So it's exciting. All of that is really, really exciting. And it lends to the conversation that I was having with my buddy the other day about being passionate. And we were talking about, he was asking me about how things went with the presentation, how things have been going with the project in general, and just with certain lines of work that I've been kind of messing with. And he's like, dude, it's wild to me how passionate you are about this. Because you don't just love it. It's not just your job. Like, you have a genuine passion for this. And you can tell in the way that you speak about it, in the way that you describe things, the way that you kind of jump into these different aspects of whatever work that you're doing. And I said, yeah, dude, I feel like being in this industry, you have to have a certain level of passion for what you do. It's hard to be in the creative field and not have passion for what you do, because I feel like if that's the case, that's what's going to be missing in all of your work. And it shows. Lack of passion, lack of love, lack of just any sort of part of you. If it's lacking that, it's going to reflect in the work. And you can tell. I think there's a lot of stuff out there that's very soulless, seems like it's missing something. And I refuse to do anything like that. I think if it doesn't have my full and utter attention, it's not going to have anything at all. It's one of those things where I follow these major designers, right? Like Paul Scher, and coming up with certain logos and doing certain things. It's like, if it doesn't come to me right away, it's probably not going to happen. And I feel that type of stuff speaks to me, because it's like, if I have this sort of love, this sort of passion for what I do, I can find it. I can look for it. I can search for it. And certain things will come, certain things will go. And maybe there's a reason for that. But again, it pushes your skill set a certain way. And he goes, you see, and not that I was saying all of that exactly, but a lot of what I just said right now was a part of the conversation. And he goes, you see, that's what I'm talking about, dude. It's, you fall into these holes all the time, and you get so passionate, and like, you go on these tangents, and they're not just like dumb. Like, you're so passionate about them, whether it's about food, cars, again, fashion, whatever it is that you're going to talk about, you're very, very passionate about it. And I said, I am very much so. I take a lot of pride in that. And I think a lot of the people who are close to me, they understand and they know how much passion I have for the things that I love and the things that I'm involved with. Again, whether it's from cars to my work to food to anything. My friends, I have a lot of passion and love for my friends, because I don't see them as my friends. A lot of people, I really see them as my family, which we've discussed countless times here on the podcast. And I have no problem talking about it more, because I really do love all of these people. They're very near and dear to my heart, and I'm extremely passionate about them. When I talk about them, when I talk about how much I love them, how much they've been there for me, how much of a staple they've become in my life. And again, without passion, for me, it's almost like, what is there? What is there to keep me going? What is there to kind of put into this, right? If I don't have a passion for it, there's no reason for it to be in my life. And as I get older, I'm starting to realize that more and more and more. And I'm starting to realize it with multiple things, even with people, right? I have to have passion for certain people. If I don't, it's like, maybe they're not really meant to be here. Maybe they're meant to just like skim by, and that's okay. But having passion is very important. And at the same time, that's what we were going to talk about this week. It's just kind of the subject of passion and care, and just being fully invested in what you're doing and what you want to do, and to set yourself up for a different level of success. And once again, I feel like this happens more often than not, if not every week. I go looking through my Instagram, just kind of checking stuff out, seeing what's going on. And for those of you guys who know, like, I have a personal Instagram, and then we have the podcast Instagram. Both of those feeds and both of those explore pages are very, very different. One is, of course, very mental health, very positive, very self-reinforcing forward. And the other one is just craziness, where it's cars, food, all kinds of nonsense, right? But when I go over to my podcast one, that's when I need something. It's when I need something from life. I need to read something. I need something in the universe to be like, hey, this piece. And that happened. So there is a creator by the name of Case Kenny, falls within the mental health spectrum. It's very self-empowering and just a great individual, and always has great advice to give, and always puts out really amazing stuff, actually on all social platforms. So you can follow him on Instagram, you can follow him on TikTok, anything like that. And this isn't like a paid ad or anything like that, but I really do like the things that he has to say. And I came across a set, and I was like, damn, dude, this is kind of dope, because it lends to what I was going to talk about. So between Case Kenny and a conversation with my buddy, that's kind of the driver for today's episode. And I always love having drivers for the episodes, because it's one thing for me to find something and talk to you guys about it, but it's another to like really have that inspiration and just have that reinforcement and have something to kind of dive off of. So in this piece that I saw that Case Kenny posted, there was 7 pieces. Well, technically 8, if you want to get like really, really specific, but 7 pieces of just words of wisdom. And I feel like they really align with what we're talking about today. And what I want to kind of do is just skim over the 7, kind of talk about them individually, and then ultimately land on some advice that is provided by Case Kenny. And it's actually a piece from a book that he wrote. So let's get right into this first one. So the first one is, you were put on earth to be so wildly passionate that people can decide if you're crazy or a genius. And I think this is really fucking amazing, because I feel that sometimes when I talk about certain things, people kind of look at me and they're like, I literally don't know if you're crazy or if that's like the most amazing shit I've ever heard. And it's like, that's okay. That's for you to take home and like think about, or have conversations with other people about, like, damn, dude, like everything that Rob was saying was a trip, but he's so about it. And again, it's like we were talking about a little bit earlier, right at the beginning of this. Having passion is important because it lets you put yourself, a piece of yourself, into everything that you do, whatever it is. It doesn't matter how big, doesn't matter how small, whatever. If you're passionate about it, it's going to show. And when you talk about these things, it's going to show. And whether people think you're crazy or a genius or just the most amazing person they've ever seen and or heard in their entire life, it's entirely up to them. But I think the coolest part is that you have no control over that. And I know it sounds kind of weird, right? Like, why would you be happy about that? Why would you be stoked about that? And it's like, people are always going to think whatever they want to think. And I think all those narratives is just like, damn, like everyone's going to think different shit. And that's kind of cool, because it's like, you're going to continue doing whatever it is that you're doing. That passion's never going to go away, regardless of what other people say, regardless of how they feel or how it makes them feel or whatever. That was you just simply being yourself. And if other people weren't ready for that, or depending on how they interpreted whatever it is that you were talking about, that's a them problem. But it's exciting because at the end of the day, they can at least turn around and they're like, regardless, it's passion. And whether even they know it or not, you know it. Because you know how you were talking about things. You know how it makes you feel, and you know how intense those feelings are. Passion's a huge driver. And I think we all need it. I don't think we can do life without it. Having some sort of passion, some sort of care with something. And again, passion comes in different levels, comes in different sizes. And I don't think it can just be written off. Like I had a conversation with a friend recently, and she loves little things. She loves jewelry, collecting pieces. She's really big in illustration and stuff like that. And she has like her room set up a certain way, likes her frames like this and just little trinkets. And it's like listening to her talk about these things. Originally in that conversation that her and I were having, she's like, I don't really have anything that I'm like super into or like, really passionate about. And as she was talking in the conversation, I'm like, you're clearly passionate about that. She's like, no, well, not really. I say, you are. Listen to the way that you're talking about it, the way that you describe these things, the way they make you feel. Like you have a passion for it. And it's like, oh, like I guess I do. It's like you do. We all have a passion for something. Could be for little trinkets that we like on our desk. It could be for our entire career. It could be we have a passion for our family. It could be passion for friends, for traveling, whatever. There is some sort of driver for you. And it's recognizing and owning and continuing to kind of ride that and let it drive you, because it's going to take you somewhere. I think your passion will always take you places. And it doesn't have to be, again, in your career or something like that, but it can take you anywhere you need it to. Do you need a healthier mindset? You want to feel better about yourself? You want to be stronger? You want to be more positive? Let that passion take you there. Because those things that, let's say, you work on, whether it's art, whether it's, any sort of in the creative field, anything that let's say cooking, whatever it may be, that makes you happy, right? So it feeds to a positive part of your brain. And in turn, you will start to become a happier person because you're starting to do more of what you love, more of what you're passionate for, right? So those are keys that we have to continue working on. And in my opinion, you can't live without. You got to find something. Everybody's got something. Everybody. The second thing, that you were put on this earth to be a beautiful mix of kindness and wildness that society can't define. And that one really hit close too, because I really do believe that you should be kind. Last night I had a conversation with with a buddy of mine, and it was like him and his girl. And it was funny because he goes, at one point in the conversation, he tells me, dude, you know what? Like when I have kids, I don't want to teach them to be like, always saying hi to people and all this. He goes, because look, I'm over here, I go and say hi to people and do all this and do all that. And like people just look at me like I'm dumb, or they don't say hi back or anything like that, and I feel stupid. And I was like, hold on. Why would you not want to teach your kids that? And he goes, because again, I don't want them to feel like me. I said, but hold on though. At the end of the day, you're doing what's right. You're saying hello to people. You are spreading kindness. You are being kind to people. That is who you are. Fundamentally, you are this person. It doesn't matter if people don't return that. People don't say hello. If people are rude, if they don't have any sort of like manners in any way, shape, or form, you're always going to come across people like that. But they should never change the fundamentals of who you are. And you should always try to instill those things in other people, right? Always be kind. Always spread love. Always spread that sort of good vibe and like kind of speak to that. Preach to that. Because that's what we need. We need this kindness, and it's hard to live without that. I've had periods in my life where I feel like I haven't experienced that. And I'm like, damn, dude, it's really shitty. And even then, I've had people tell me, like, why are you this way? Why are you so loving? Why are you so caring? Why are you so kind? I said, you know what? Because I have so much of it to give. Because there was so much of it that I didn't receive and that I haven't received. And this isn't like a jab or anything like that to the people in my life, because everybody who is near and dear to me, who is in my life, shows me nothing but these things. But from certain aspects, it's like I'm lacking that, like I'm missing that, right? So because of those reasons and because of that, it's like I have so much of it to give, so much of it to show. And I don't know who else to be but myself. I don't know who else to be but like kind. I don't know who else to be but loving, and to make people feel like they're cared for, and people that I just met, for them to feel like we've known each other for a long time. Because I want that. I always wanted that for myself. So if I can provide that experience for other people, I love doing that. And I like being a beacon of that. And knowing that if you come talk to me or you come up to me and we're having a conversation, that it's going to be something good, something you can carry with you, and something that you're going to remember. Not that everything is going to be monumental, but it's like at least those experiences and interactions with me, I care about like how they go, and I care about what happens after that point. I do. I think I'd be lying if I said, I really fully didn't give a shit, but it's like I do, right? Like that's why I like being this way. It's just who I am. I don't know who else to be. And to have this level of wildness just leads you down the path of exploration, right? And it's something that people cannot define. They don't understand, because a lot of people don't have that sort of discovery or that yearning, that wanderlust. And it's like, well, how do you not? And they don't know how to define it. They don't know how to label it, because you can't. It's like, I'm out here to spread love, and I want to explore, and I want to do shit, and I want to just kind of live and make this fucking story for myself. I want my life to become and be a story. And even when people talk about it, that they have something to say. Because for me, it's like, I'm just trying to build a life. That's it. That's all that's in my vision. It's like almost like I have blinders on. But I need to have these things for sure. This kindness and this level of exploration and just wildness and looking around and looking about. Because I need that search. Because that search keeps me pushing in every sense. Every sense. Whether it's for my professional career, whether it's my love life, whether it's with my friends, for myself, ultimately. If I feel like I'm lacking that, I start to feel like I'm losing, like I'm lost. Because it's like I don't want to look anymore. I always need to have this sense of wanting to look and wanting to find, and just like craziness to go explore and to do certain things. Like I need it. I really do need it. And also to find strange, wonderful friends who make things 10 times funnier when you're with them. It is so important to have friends and to have people that you confide in, people that you trust, people that you love, that you can go to and say anything, and you can go to Ross and have the fucking time of your life. That's the shit that matters. Yesterday I spent some time with my buddy Jay. So we go have lunch, we go to Lazy Dog, chill out, we're laughing, having a good time right there. And after, I was like, yo, I need to go run some errands, so you're gonna go with me? He's like, all right, for sure. So we dip over to Kohl's. I have to go make a return for Amazon. We do our thing. We're already laughing there. Why are we having a good time in Kohl's? It's just Kohl's. Like, there's nothing crazy about it, right? We start fucking around, looking at dumb shit. And then we take off from there, and we got to go to Ross. Well, Marshall's and then Ross, because I'm over here trying to find some shorts. And I'm like, it's a whole thing. But I was like, whatever, fool, you're going to go with me. We go, we're having a blast. Having a blast. Just looking at shit, laughing at like any little thing that we can find. From there, we end up at Ross. It's the same thing, having a great time. Dude, we're just in the stores. There's nothing exciting about any of this shit. And here we are cracking up about the most random t-shirts that we find, or like hats, or, pants or whatever, just on random shit. We see certain graphics and we're like, oh, that's crazy. I just losing it. But it's those types of things. They make those adventures really exciting, and they make them fun, and they make them memorable. Like, again, I have no reason to be having a good time at Ross. And tell me why I had a great fucking time. So you need people like that. And I feel like I've come across so many individuals that like don't have friends and don't have like these close people that they can kind of confide in and kind of live and do life with. And I'm like, dude, you gotta find some. Or if you have some now, like, let yourselves go deeper. Like, open up the conversation. Be real about shit. Talk about your feelings, your emotions, what's going on. Because it's one thing to just kick it with your friends, have drinks and bullshit and keep it surface level. But as an adult, And I think as you get older, it's really fucking important to have those people that you're like, yo, shit hit the fan and I need to talk to you. And I want your genuine opinion on all of these things because I care about what you have to fucking say. That's why I'm calling you right now. We need that. And sometimes we have different outlets for that, right? Like there's therapy, you have your family, you have things like that. Like for myself, I have a few of these outlets, but I really don't know what I would be without that sort of system that I've created for myself, right? Like my chosen family. I don't know. Like I sit and I think about it all the time. This is a very, very constant thing in my brain. It's like, I don't know. I don't know what I would do without, Albert, Yessie, Brianna, Jay, Sabrina, Sebastian. It's like Rob, like there's all these people that are just, they have these monuments in my life. And it's like, I don't know. They're like pillars for me. And we need to create those. We need to have those. Doesn't matter how many. I'm very fortunate to have certain people, but it's also taken me a long time to find them and kind of like shape and move all these relationships and put time and love into them so they can grow to where they are and have the roots that they have, right? Because I think the more that you invest into the people in your life, it's like you plant seeds, right? With everybody. And depending on the seed, depending on the plant, depending on what goes down, like certain roots are going to be stronger. And I feel like all these people that are in my life, we've had these back and forth investments where the roots are so deep and they're like these trees that are just holding shit up. And there's no doubts, there's no anything about it, because it's like those are the strongest things I have in my life. And it's like, that's fucking sick, right? And then I'm also very thankful, like I have my mom. She's a huge one in my life too. She's been there since I was a baby. She's all I've ever known. I didn't have a dad. She's been my mom and my dad. And she's been the strongest fucking person that I've seen, because I've seen her go through some really wild shit. So it's like, you need certain people. You need them. But with this one, again, with, having those friends and just that kind of match your weirdness, right? And it's just, you guys kind of have this weird, unique bond. Like you need that shit. You need people to spice life up, to make the mundane not so mundane, right? The trips to Ross, that they become exciting. When you go to fucking Ralph's and you're like, I need to go pick up some fucking zucchini and oranges and whatever else the fuck I need and cereal. And somehow that ends up being the best trip to the market you ever had. Because you're laughing about all kinds of dumb shit. You see something funny, you see a marketing piece you just laugh at. You're like, oh, what the fuck? This is crazy. I'm not paying $10 for Doritos. And then you're over here laughing about this shit. And if you were to see it by yourself, you just be like, I'm not paying $10 for Doritos. All of a sudden you have your friends with you, you say the same thing, you're cracking up in the aisle, And it's shit like that. You need life to kind of be like that. It has to be a beautiful thing. And there's so many ways to go about it. And if you don't have that, I encourage you guys to do your best to find it. And again, if you have certain relationships that you want to go deeper with them. Go. Ask the questions. Put that shit out there. Even if it's weird at first, even let them know. Like, dude, like, I want to get to know you more. Like, I want more out of this shit. It's tight. It's tight to get to know your homies. It's tight to break bread and strengthen those relationships. There's nothing wrong with that shit. Again, I think it's the opposite. I think it's the most beautiful thing you can have. Because when shit hits the fan or when things get real in life, you want certain people to be there and you want to be able to run to certain people. And those are the ones. That's what it's all about. The next thing is to be a disco ball of energy and not a dim light in the corner. I also really love this too, because I think we were meant and we were placed on this planet to be something different. We were never meant to fall in line. And granted, a lot of people very much fall in that. They kind of go into that whole sheep realm and just kind of follow the single file line, which is great. But there's a lot of people outside of that don't want that. They want to shine on their own. They have a different light to offer. And I think each and every single one of us have that. But maybe some of us aren't there. Maybe some of us don't really want to put it out there because we're afraid, we're scared and nervous of how it's going to be perceived, how it's going to be taken. And it's like, that shit's not for you. It doesn't matter. Disco balls, if you look at it like that, right? Disco balls are comprised of depending on how big, thousands of pieces of mirrors. And when the light hits them, it reflects all over the place. It doesn't like choose. It doesn't matter. Wherever they are and wherever the light is shining, it's going to reflect that everywhere. And each and every single disco ball is different, right? So depending how big, depending how small, depending the color of the glass, all this stuff. But regardless, they all have this beauty that's reflected onto the world. And if we were to look at things like that and realize that we are each something like that, we each have our own light that we're going to kind of reflect into the world, I think we would think and be a little more conscious of that and just kind of aware of like the impact that we have, because we do have an impact on everyone around us. The people that care about us think about us. So if you have this sort of positive and you have this good and this light to radiate, you keep that going, right? You weren't made to be a dim light in the corner. You weren't made to be like just a lamp on a table that's barely on. There's some people are okay with that, and there's nothing wrong with that. If you want to go through life and just kind of float and cruise and do that, that's totally fine. It's totally fine. For me personally, I think no matter how big, no matter how small, no matter where you're at in life, I think we were all meant to shine a certain way. And we're all meant to show who we are and be happy and be proud about that, and to not have any sort of doubts in that, because you are an amazing person. If nobody's told you that today, I'm fucking telling you that. You're amazing. What you have to offer, everything, the person that you are is incredible. And if people around you don't see that, that's okay. Because maybe certain things need to be shifted. Maybe your circle needs to be changed up a little bit. Because I guarantee you, and I promise you, that there are people out there who appreciate that about you. They appreciate you, your light, your offerings, everything that you kind of offer as that gift, because you are a gift. Each and every single one of us are a gift. And you got to let yourself shine a little bit. Let the light reflect, and however it bounces, wherever it bounces to, just let it hit. That's your job, is just to keep spinning and keep staying beautiful, right? Like, that's the disco ball mentality. Like, just keep it moving. Keep it moving. And honestly, I really love it. This one thing, I was like, oh man, that's sick. It's so simple, and I know it's really cheesy, and you can call me a cheese ball for it, but it's fine. Because when you think about it, there's so much within that to unpack. But at the end of the day, it's like, just keep spinning. Let the light hit you. Let it reflect where it may. And as long as it comes from a good place and you are that person and you reflect these types of things into the world, there's so much more to gain. And you're going to offer so much to so many people, because that light can turn somebody else's light on. And maybe they kind of, shine up the disco ball a little bit. Maybe it was a little dusty, maybe it was a little grimy, they got the little shine on. Next thing you know, they're shining. And then they start to affect other people. Other people in the same boat, they start to shine up their disco ball. Boom, then they're shining. All of a sudden, you have this chain reaction. Now you have a room full of disco balls. Everybody's shining, everybody's gleaming. Got rainbows everywhere, beautiful forms of light all over the place, and it's moving. The music's playing, it's a vibe. That's your life. Think about it like that, because it makes things a lot more fun. The next step: to have so much audacity that the universe has no choice but to reward you. I think this has a lot to do with just that self-drive, right? And the audacity to do things, to be like, to jump, to go to school, to quit that job, to start that business, to ask the person on the date, to go eat at your favorite restaurant by yourself because you want to go. Like, having the audacity to do things doesn't always have to be a bad thing, right? Because you hear it in like a negative light, like, oh, the audacity, like, that's crazy. And I get that. But there's a flip side to that, where it's having the will and the power to do certain things. And that the universe looks at that and says, here, this is for you. Because you really wanted to do that. You pushed, and you had the power to do it. Again, let's even say going to eat by yourself. I've had times where I've been terrified to go eat by myself, because I'm afraid of like how it's going to look or whatever, or I feel weird. I've never done that. And I remember doing it for the first time, and I was like, I took a deep breath and I let myself enjoy the moment, and it was fucking amazing. And I felt like I was given a gift. And I was like, okay, like this is sick. I did this because I wanted to do it. And there's so many other things in life that I feel like because of you having the will and the strength to do so, the universe will gift you something. So again, do it. It's okay. And I think it's amazing to fucking do anything that you want to do. So have the audacity to do so. To sign up for those classes, to get that certification, to go through those courses. Go do that. You want to go back to school for your MBA, for your PhD, to get your bachelor's, whatever it may be, go do that. You want to have the audacity to start cooking and actually be fucking good at it, then go do it. You want to ask somebody on a date, go ask them on a date. It's fine. Whatever's going to happen is going to fucking happen. So you got to just live it, right? You live it and just have the guts, have the power, have the strength, and give it to yourself to go do it. Some things are terrifying, and that's fine. I think a lot of the shit that we're going to do in our lives, they come from scary places. And if you don't have that, it's almost like you're not really living. Because you need that little bit of fear, that little bit of spice to kind of keep you alive and to keep you moving. Because I know for myself, like I need it. I need it, man. If I don't have it, it's like I almost feel like empty, like something's missing. And I'm like, well, what the fuck am I doing? Why don't I have it? I got to find it. I got to get out of my comfort zone. And I feel like this kind of lines up with that too, with that getting out of your comfort zone. Because that's where you find shit. That's where things start to happen. Windows start to open, doors start to open, new paths kind of start to form. And you're like, ooh, I always go this way, but I want to go that way now. And there's reward in that. There's always reward in that. And sometimes it may not be the biggest. Sometimes it may not be the best, but it doesn't have to be. It really doesn't have to be. As long as you chase and you go and you do what you feel is right and what you need, there's reward in it. Something, somewhere is going to fucking give you something that you're like, oh shit, this is what I needed. It may not be a thing, like something you can hold, something tangible. Maybe it's a lesson. Maybe it's something you needed to see, something you needed to learn. Those things are super valuable too. I think they're even more valuable than things that are tangible. Lessons are something that we're going to carry with us for the rest of our lives, whether they're good, whether they're bad, anything like that. It's shit that we can keep with us and we can pass it down. And that's another one too, being able to pass that down. It's strong and we need it. So keep it pushing, keep it moving, have the audacity to do things. You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised if you put yourself in situations and just did shit. A lot's going to come from it. And then the next is to be your crazy, one-of-a-kind, weirdo self. Not a copy-paste version of someone else. I think in today's day and age with social media, people get so caught up in finding stuff that they like and saying, I want to be that. I want to do this. I want to make this. And it's a very comparison-driven world now where we are constantly seeing things and comparing it to ourselves, to our lives, to whatever we've created, whatever we do. And I think there's a huge issue with that. Like I have a real fucking problem with it. And I've seen myself fall into these holes where I start comparing and contrasting all these fucking things with other people. And it's like, well, that wasn't my path. It's not going to be my path. And I'm not going to have anything fucking close to it. So what am I doing on here? And why am I on here? What the fuck am I doing? So I've been spending a lot more time away from social media and I need it. It's good for me. Like I would do so well without it. Like I don't need it. It's not a necessity for me. I could give a shit about it. I think a lot more negative things have come from it than positive, to be honest, in multiple facets of my life. Multiple. So I don't think it's a great thing, but we were meant to be, it's like we talked about earlier, right? Like just to be kind and to be this person that if that's who you are, then be who you are, right? Be weird. It's cool to be weird. I was always so scared when I was a kid to be weird and to be different. And as I got older, I started to understand like people fuck with me for me. They don't fuck with me because I'm like somebody else or because I remind them of somebody else. They fuck with me because of me. They want to kick it with me because I am this person. I bring certain things to the table. They invite me to certain parties and they invite me to certain places because it's me and I'm not trying to be somebody else. And coming into my adulthood and as I get older, I've realized that even more. Where it's like people just stick around or they want to kick it because of the type of person that I am, not because I'm trying to pretend to be somebody, because I'm trying to put off a certain vibe and like, ooh, too cool for school type shit. Like, no. People want to kick it because they want to kick it. They like what's here. They like what it is. And that's tight. And I love that shit. And I'm super appreciative because now it's like, I don't know who else to be but myself. I really don't. There's certain things in my life that I feel like I've lost a little bit of control over, but I'm also gaining that control back. And even then, it hasn't fundamentally changed who I am. I don't know who else to be but myself. And I want everybody around me, I want everyone listening, everybody watching on this podcast to find that for yourself too, if you haven't. And if you have, continue being that person. Because it's going to be so contagious. Somebody else is going to bite onto it and be like, I need to fucking move. I need to shift. I need to just be myself and promote people to be themselves, right? It's the disco ball thing. Keep shining your light. Keep doing your thing. Keep being about it. Spread that. It's going to bite onto other people and they're going to want to be themselves and be the best version of themselves, right? If they act some sort of way, it's like, dude, you don't have to act like that. It's cool. Just be yourself. Because I know that's not you. This is you. When it's just you and I and you act some sort of way, like this is the person that you are. When you're with all these fools and all these people, you don't act like that. That's crazy. Like I know a lot of brand new ass people. For those of you who don't know what the fuck I'm talking about or what I mean, it's like people who act some sort of way in front of other people. And they put on like a front, they put on a show, and it's just they act some sort of way. And it's like, that's crazy because when you kick it with me, when we're by ourselves, you don't act like that. And then when you're with all these fucking people, you want to act like that. Like, that's interesting. Or you have a certain personality trait about you, certain, it's like, that's some real brand new type shit. I don't like it. But a lot of brand new ass people out there. And that's all right. You don't need those people in your life. And also, don't fall into that trap and be one of them too. Because that's the last shit you want to do. Is fall into and being that type of person. You were meant to be yourself. You were put here for a fucking reason. It's a very special opportunity, I think, to live this life right now. Some people would say otherwise. It's like, dude, you're here. You're here. You're doing it. This is your life. You got one shot at it. Why would you want to live it being somebody else? That's not what you were born for. That's not what you're here for. You were here to be yourself, to make your own mark, to do your own thing. You're not supposed to fucking change the world. You know what I mean? We're all not, these fucking people. But I do think you were meant to just shine on your own and let that impact strike wherever it may. And the last thing, to find joy in small things, give the best hugs, and celebrate what makes you weird. I think finding joy in the small things is everything for me. It's not for everybody in my life, but everyone that knows me knows I love the small things. Whether it's like, for example, if I go see a movie with friends or something like that, I'll keep the little stub. And, years later, I'll go and I'll find it and I'll remember shit like that. And then I'll send them a picture or tell them, like, hey, do you remember this? Like, damn, you still have that? It's like little things. I go on off-road trips. Every time I go, I'll usually find a little rock or something. I bring it with me and I'm like, oh, this is that one from that one place. It's little things like that. Or it's people telling me certain things too, how much they care. Or they, let's say they bring me a Reese's peanut butter cup. I love Reese's peanut butter cups. To me alone, it's like I remember shit like that. Like one time I had told Izzy, we were having this conversation. We were talking about all kinds of shit in life. And I was having it really rough at that moment. And then he had come down to kick it. And he brought me, and out of nowhere, this was just after that, he showed up with some Reese's peanut butter cups. And he was like, brought you something, dude. I will never forget that in my life. Ever. Because it was the act of that somebody remembered something that I told them and that it made an impact to the point where they're like, this is important to him. And it's a candy. It's a fucking candy. You know what I mean? It's nothing in the grand scheme of things, but to me, it means a lot. And I was raised like that. I was very much raised like that for little things, and to just be very appreciative and very thankful. And that's something I take a lot of pride in. That's a character trait of mine that I love. And sometimes it backfires on me because I will get hurt very easily with certain things too. But that's okay. Like, I still wouldn't give it up. I still wouldn't trade it. It's everything in the world to me. And giving the best hugs is fucking important. I think if you don't give a fuck about your hugs, that ain't it. You hug people like it's the last fucking hug you're gonna give them, because god damn it, dude, you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. Shit happens in life and things go down, and it's like, how often have you guys ever had the situation where you're like, I wish I could hug them one more time. I wish I could do these things one more time. Because in the last year, man, I can't tell you how many times I thought about that. You know? So it's like, do that. Like, I'm always a fucking a stickler with my hugs and shit like that. Like, if I ever get like a weenie ass hug from somebody, weird little side hug or just like a little soft hug or something, I'm like, what the fuck? What type of shit is that? Like, get the fuck off me. Like, redo this. This is crazy. Don't give me some weird ass little weenie shit like that. Like, come in for the real thing. Like, you know what it is. Because, again, for me, that shit matters. I love that. And not everybody loves showing their affection that way. I get it. Not everyone's a hugger. I respect that, and I get it. I get it. But everybody in my life also knows me, and they're like, he's a hugger, dude. He's a hugger. And I love it. It's simple things like that. Those things make a difference. You remember shit like that. You remember hugs with people. You remember those embraces and just kind of those like smiles and those laughs while you're hugging. Like, those things mean the world. You'd be surprised how many people sit there and reflect on that. Because I do. And I know other people with the same conversation that I've had. I've had the conversation of hugs before, and it's like, they think about that. And they're like, oh, dude, yeah, this one fool one time, this fool over here gave me some weenie ass hug. I'll never forget it. And I was like, what the fuck? Do you think that's okay? And again, I remember shit like that. And I'll hold it against homies too. I'll be like, nah, hey, dude, you better not give me some shit like you did last time. I'll make you redo it again and again and again until we get it right. So like, it ends up being a joke, but it's awesome and I love it. So keep your hugs up. If they're not that great, fucking get them better. Go work on it. Start giving people hugs, because that's that shit, man. Those are things people carry with them. And like we've been talking about it, be proud about being weird. Be yourself. Don't be anybody else. Don't strive to be somebody else. Don't be carbon copied. Don't follow. Don't be a sheep. Don't be any of that. You have traits. Put them out there. Be yourself and be proud of that. Because that's what you were here for. That's what you're put on this fucking earth for, to be yourself, to shine on your own. And with all of this being said, I know I had mentioned to you guys that at the beginning, I was going to be reading some advice that was out of an excerpt from Case Kenny's book. And it's the book is called That's Bold of You. It's a bright yellow cover, again, written by Case Kenny. And the passage says this: the best ingredient for a great life is enthusiasm. It's having an unshakable belief in possibility. Enthusiastic people are like beacons of light in a dim world. They get excited about small things. A new plant, the sun's out, found a cool rock, let's celebrate. Their excitement is infectious. They have a sense of calm warmth that uplifts those around them without even trying. They find profound beauty in simply being alive. They live life like it's a serious magic moment waiting to happen. And there was something about that. I reread it, I don't even know how many times. Today, yesterday, like I kept rereading it, because even that last part, right? Like, they find profound beauty in simply being alive. They live life like it's a series of magic moments waiting to happen. I hope you guys can take that bit of advice. You know what? And actually, normally I don't do this. I try to get like little bits and pieces, and I put it into the second piece of art that gets posted onto the podcast. But I will be posting this bit of advice in the caption. So if you guys need it or want to read it again, you will have access to it there, because I really think that this little piece is something special. And I haven't read this book yet. I know I probably should, and I need to read it. I've read way too many excerpts and I've seen too many things about it. I need a copy for myself, so I will for sure be ordering it on Amazon or wherever I can get it. This is something amazing. It's something to be thought of. It's a really beautiful piece. And if this is just like a slight bit of what's in that book, it'll tell you what it's all about, right? Be yourself, keep it moving, keep it pushing. And every single one of you who are listening, watching, you support this podcast in any way, shape, or form, you send it to people. However, I appreciate you. I know I tell you every week. I will continue to tell you every week, because without you guys, this thing wouldn't even be around. We wouldn't even be doing this shit. I wouldn't be sitting in front of a camera with a microphone at my desk. We wouldn't be doing any of this. So I thank you guys. Thank you guys for allowing me to do this, for supporting and for pushing this project, and just for kicking it, for listening, for being a part of it. I thank you guys so much. I love you all. I hope you have a beautiful day, a beautiful rest of your week, an incredible weekend, and I will catch you guys on the next one.